Alright, so we mainly got all of the hardware on now, like the cold side's on, the charge pipes, the blow-off valve is hooked up, wastegate's hooked up, and the downpipe is also hooked up, and all that stuff is ready to go. So pretty much we are set on that aspect. Now, the next thing we need to tackle, at least I'm going to try and tackle today, is to merge the upstream O2 sensors, meaning bank 1 and bank 2 upstream sensors, so before the cat. I'm going to try and merge those two together so that I can feed the ECU pretty much the same voltage from one O2 sensor. So normally there's two. I'm going to merge them into one and attach it to the second O2 sensor bung that comes on the cxracing downpipe. If you're running a different type of computer, for myself, I'm going to run the stock computer. If you have a manual transmission IS, you've been blessed. You can run whatever standalone you want, or you can even run the stock ECU and run a piggyback. But if you have a manual transmission, I mean, the sky's the limit. You can run AEM Infinity, you can run a Haltech Elite, you could run Mega Squirt, you could run Link G4, you can run whatever you want, and you wouldn't have to worry about anything. However, for the automatic IS guys, unfortunately, I think there's only one standalone ECU that can operate the A650E, which is what this transmission is, and I think that's a company called Max ECU. And they claim that they can control it. You do have to do a lot of setting up and parameters and all that stuff. And since I want to get away from this automatic eventually, I'm not gonna go, spend the money on that, because I think that thing is over $1,000 just to run that particular system. And then, then I have to go through the process of trying to guess how to set it up and how to get it to shift right and all that. So I'm going to be running an AEM FIC 6 fuel ignition controller. They came out a long time ago. I was able to find one pretty locally to me for 250 bucks, and it allows you to adjust fuel injector size. You can tune based on MAF, or you can tune based on an internal map sensor that it has. You can actually advance or retard timing. It just does really well as a piggyback to the stock ECU, since I need to keep the stock ECU in order to shift the transmission. The fueling though, I'm going to try and rely mostly on the AEM to do that. However, I do have to wire it in, and there is a boom slang harness you can buy. I think it's like 600 bucks, and it's a plug and play harness. If you want to go that route, by all means, that'll work perfectly fine. However, I like to think I'm pretty good with wiring, so I'm just going to try to tap in myself over here in the ECU box. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys how I'm going to go ahead and merge these O2 sensors. Granted, for you guys that don't need to do this, and just go ahead and skip ahead if you need. But if you would like to see how I'm going to do it, I'll show you what I got going on. Okay, so here I have both of the O2 sensors that are the upstream O2 sensors. I labeled them a long time ago when I actually pulled them off and I was disassembling the car. And so normally, both these ends will go plugged into the factory harness, which is what I'm still wanted to do. However, just so you can visualize what I would like to happen, normally this plugs in and this will go to its own bung on the original exhaust manifold, and that one will go to its own bung on the exhaust manifold. What I want to do is to have these both stay plugged into where they actually go. I'm just going to wire them together and pretty much just use one of these sensors down in the downpipe there, so that I'm tricking the computer into thinking that obviously there's still exhaust gas going into both of these, since one O2 sensor will now be providing a signal to both of these factory harnesses here. So that way I don't get any check engine light. So that's all we're trying to accomplish. And since all of these O2 sensors are exactly the same, they all have the same wiring. There is a blue wire, which is your signal wire. There's a white wire, which is your ground wire. And then both the blacks are heater circuits. So pretty much all I'm gonna do is merge all of this together. I'm just gonna merge them and extend them so that I can get down to the downpipe, which is now farther down the line on the exhaust. I'm gonna get this kind of mocked up and I'll show you guys what it looks like. All right, well, this is what I could come up with, which I got the O2 sensor down here that's gonna go into the downpipe. And I have some heat sleeve in there because it's going to run down by the downpipe and the exhaust manifold. And I have the factory O2 sensor right here for bank 1, or excuse me, this is bank 2, and then I also have bank 1 right here. So this part should run along the top of the cylinder head, then it'll meet the back of the cylinder head, and then this will go down to the downpipe. I hope it's not too long. If it is too long, I can just zip tie it up somewhere. But let me get this installed, and I'll kind of show you guys what it looks like. I won't be able to show you the whole thing because it kind of is going to be hidden. I like to have stuff as clean as possible, and I have some loom on here with everything looking as nice as I can. Alright, well, I got this, disregard this here, I'm just doing some testing, but I got the bank 1 O2 sensors merged, or excuse me, I have the upstream O2 sensors merged. I got the one plugged into the bottom. This is the one I made. Just runs under the throttle body and connects to the other O2 sensor, which is just back there. And then from there, it drops straight down, and it heads down and goes straight into the second O2 sensor bung there, as it was designed to. I did make it a little long, actually a lot longer than it needed to be, but I just kind of looped it and zip tied it up there. So I guess I do have plenty of play in the wiring if I need it to be there, but nonetheless, I got it on there now. So it does come with a vacuum line. There's also a plastic tee in there that's supplied, because I'm going to run pretty much, essentially this is a MAP sensor inside that reads boost. Since I won't be using the MAF to tune the car, the MAF will control the car, you know, under light load and normal driving as it was designed to do. However, when I get into boost, I will be using this vacuum line to feed this inside the car to tell this fuel management, you know, how much boost I'm making. That way I can make adjustments to fueling and whatnot, and then the stock MAF won't have to do any of that. This is the bundle of wiring that I get to do. I'm pretty excited about all this. I already have it all labeled where it needs to go. And also this thing comes with a bypass harness, which is this right here. So if for some reason you live in an area where you need to get your car smogged, all you need to do is just disconnect these from this here controller, and then you'll just plug them into this, and essentially it just bypasses this controller, and the car will just run, you know, like stock or like it did normally. This is a lot of wiring to do for anybody. Obviously, if you're running a standalone, there are many different options you can go about, you know, using. There's wiring, pre-made wiring harnesses you can get. There's obviously a lot of different ways to go about boosting this car. Obviously, different turbo kits. There's different, you know, fuel line sizes and all that stuff I ran through. This is just one of the options that I have available to me since my car is an automatic. And yeah, you know, I could go out and get, you know, like an AEM Infinity or like a Haltech, and I can run it and it would run. However, like I said, I'm just stuck with the automatic for now. And this thing only cost me 250 bucks. I found it on a guy on Craigslist. I was searching around all over for these. So these are really hard to find these days. I don't think that AEM even makes these anymore. So alternatively, people use the Greddy, or I think it's a Greddy E-Manage Blue, which is also a piggyback, but I've heard pretty bad things about that, and trying to run them on IS300s, because IS300s tend to want to always self-learn with the ECU, and they kind of ruins the tunes on those. But with this actually physically intercepts the signals and sends the factory ECU, you know, kind of faulty made-up signals. So it should be pretty good at spoofing the ECU and you know, keeping the tune good. So alright, so I think I forgot to film an outro for this video. Probably I actually forgot to film an intro as well, but I know this video is mostly kind of just talking and running down stuff, and I apologize, guys. I'm a teacher by, you know, at heart, and I just kind of just ramble on, and so by all means, just get past whatever you don't want to hear, and I totally get it. But we do have the car running, which is great, and now I'm trying to just get this AEM installed. That way we can make some boost, or try to make, 3-4 pounds of boost and see, how the car feels and how it reacts to it. But yeah, so in the next video, it's probably going to be a little bit more talking, just trying to get the AEM wired in. And I mean, I probably could just skip over it. That stuff's probably all online somewhere. There's diagrams and whatnot to follow, but I feel like somebody might need that information, and if I could explain it to them to kind of make it simple for them, then that's probably what I'm going to try and do, since I know I had to dig around a little bit to find information that I hope is valid and works. The wiring diagrams I found are pretty old, like from 2012, so I still hope that they will be valid today. But having this video to upload, or uploading a video explaining the wiring kind of just, briefly, will probably help out a lot of people if they want to go this route. So I do appreciate you guys checking into the video as usual. If you liked the video, definitely hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and again, I always appreciate you guys coming back to watch the videos. The subscribers have been rising, and you guys are just being awesome, so I appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.